What about OnlyFans?
God, OnlyFans is
It's like
such a
that
mess.
Bop House. I keep getting recommended them because now that one lady, the one
What's
girl's
the Bop
talking.
House?
She's okay.
It's real.
So it's Sophia Rain. So I think how old are they? They're like 18 to 20.
Yeah.
But they're making millions of dollars a month.
And
I've heard of Sophia Rain.
Yeah, Sophia Rain. She's making like $4 million a month, and then
it's
another
like the
one.
OnlyFans version of like the Hype House and that kind of thing. Like it's this like coalition of like chicks with huge tits and fake asses like making OnlyFans videos together.
That's hilarious.
It's like,
that's funny. It's sad, but
I know.
It's really funny. They call it the Bop House.
It's called the Bop House. But even there's this one OnlyFans girl who does like interviews with her assistant and her younger brother.
I've seen that.
Yeah, her.
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking about Sophia Rain. She's like, Sophia Rain makes so much money.
Yeah.
And they're like, how much money do you make? And she's like, just pauses for a second. And she's like, well, not as much as Sophia. And they're like, okay, but like, how much do you make? $1.5 million a month.
It's insane.
A month.
And the thing is, that is obviously real. I mean, you look at like Bad Baby. This is so creepy to me that like, and Bad Baby even like said this. She's the Cash Me Outside girl.
Mm-hmm.
She made an OnlyFans on her 18th birthday and had people wait. She made more money than she's ever made in her life the day that she made her OnlyFans, the day that she turned 18, because people were like waiting for it. And it's so
But that isn't. I remember people were waiting for Emma Watson.
Yeah.
That was the thing. There were websites. That like had the countdown going. And it was different for me. I think she's a year older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So like at the time, I think I was 17. She had just like turned 18 or like something like that. So for me, it was different at that moment. But yeah, I think this is something that's been going on for
and now
like
people
a while.
like feed into it. I think the difference is now that OnlyFans gives you the opportunity to monetize that weirdness. Whereas I look at that and I'm like, that should be something that we can acknowledge. It's very odd for grown men online to be waiting for you to be 18 so that they can sexualize you openly. And now our culture is so depraved that women are like, it's actually empowering for me to lean into this and for people to be like waiting to openly sexualize me. There's a crazy... Okay, have you seen the Denise Richards story?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So Denise Richards, Charlie Sheen, they were married. They have 3 daughters together. And this is also a crazy situation because one of their daughters is like very Christian, talks about her faith on TikTok, does like Bible study on TikTok, seems really sweet. And she's living in this like chaos. So they split up. And Sammy Sheen, 2.5 years ago on her 18th birthday, made an OnlyFans. And her rationality, I'm not kidding, this is so insane to me, is that she wanted to move out and she was working at a candy shop and the income at the candy shop wasn't cutting it. So she was like, I went to the next best thing and did an OnlyFans. And I'm like, first of all, you're a Nepo baby. Like, you should, like, your mother is Denise Richards, your father is Charlie Sheen. If you didn't want to, like, work a normal job, go make some movies, go, like, have your dad get you a job, like, lean into the fact that you have amazing connections. And in her mind, the next best thing, the easiest thing was to join OnlyFans. And she gave this whole interview. They have a new reality TV show. It's called The Wild Things, and based on Denise's movie. And there's a whole interview about how empowering it is to be an entrepreneur because she's on OnlyFans. She makes so much money, so she was able to move out. She quit working at the candy shop. But the most insane thing is that a week later, Denise also made an OnlyFans, her mother, because she was seeing that people were sexualizing her daughter and were making comments. And she was like, well, I can't let that happen to only you. And so she also made an OnlyFans device. So now both this mother and daughter, it's an OnlyFans duo, which I think there's so much like psychology, you know, and like layers of this onion to peel back of, you know, Denise Richards was this like sex icon bombshell. Now her daughter is getting all this attention. I look at this kind of as like kind of missing the attention that you used to get. And you want to also commodify that. And you saw it was working out for your daughter. But Sammy makes millions. And Charlie Sheen gave an interview and he was very against it. He was like, this did not happen under my roof. She doesn't live with me. She lives with my wife, which was also so weird because then she apparently told her dad how much she was making. And he was like, well, if you're making that much money, I guess you can't be that bad. It's like millions of dollars. I think, well, it's nothing like millions every month. But in a year, she had made like $4 million. And it's like, as a father, it's like, so the money then makes it better? Like your daughter is selling?
I think it does make it better.
It makes it more understandable.
Yeah, it does.
If someone shows pictures of their nude body online and they make like
no money,
a few $100s a month, then you're like, okay, then you must really like,
that's
something's going on there. But if they're making like for example, everyone's got a price. Like, at least I can say for myself, like if someone wanted to pay me lots and lots of money to send them a picture of like my foot, for example, I might.
Dude, remember the guy who wanted to buy your shoes?
He did. And
There's a lot of weird people out there.
Well, I heavily considered it. He was like...
I think I was trying to negotiate the price up because he lowballed Jack.
No, you're like, not that.
He told me he'd buy me a new pair of shoes. I posted on my Instagram, I'm like, time to retire these puppies. And it was just a picture of my like worn shoes. It wasn't not my feet, nothing. And then he swiped up and he's like, hey, can I I'm there. I'm not, you shouldn't be done with this.
So weird.
There's some value in them. But anyways, everyone's got a price. I like to think like, I know, $10 million, I would, but anyways. And so I think it justifies it a little bit more. It makes it more relatable.
Yeah. And it is hard for people to say that they don't have a price until you're like confronted with, money, and then you decide whether to take it or say no to it, which is funny because I've sort of been in that situation now where it's like I'm not in terms of OnlyFans or selling, feed pics or whatever, but of, getting offers and going, this is not where, like, that's great money, but I don't want that. And saying I'd rather take a risk elsewhere or whatever it is and turning that down, which is very, very scary. But I think it's good that that there is a price, but I even think it's more black and white. I think that it probably makes it better in his eyes because it's like, at least my daughter's making money. But again, as a father, it's like, I feel like your, I don't know, disappointment, or maybe that's not even the word, but of just like saddening that that's what your daughter is doing.
I would be
so
disappointed myself.
Well, here's some of the difference. A lot of OnlyFans, they won't be full nude.
Yeah.
They'll just be like in a bikini.
Yeah.
And then you make the argument, like, what's the difference between me doing that on OnlyFans in a bikini and me being on the beach around a whole bunch of people? It's the same thing.
Well, no, I think it's the act of selling it because you know that it's for purpose. You know that you're sexualizing yourself. And I think also...
But how is that different than going to the beach and wearing like a revealing outfit, knowing that like, oh, I'm getting attention from the guys around me? Or going to a festival like Coachella, having your cheeks out
and maybe
and being
that's
like, it's
also,
the same thing.
I think you have to be very like self-aware of your own biases because like I look at that regard, like I would never do that. Like I don't walk around, like I'm covered up, like relatively modest. Not that I've like never worn a bikini, but it's like I don't walk around hoping that people are like gawking at me or whatever it is. But I do think there is a difference when money is traded. And I also think that there's something, I talked about this in a recent episode, actually it was the one that I did about the Sammy and the whole Sheen family, Richard's family craziness. But that it's like, yeah, you might just be selling bikini photos, or it's like more revealing of a photo and you used to just post them on your Instagram, but now you're getting paid for them. But it's like, you're taking advantage of the guys that are spending money. And it's like,
but they want to give the money.
I know, but I think that there should be more of a social contract of knowing that that's not a good thing, and that men who are engaging in this, like, you also are kind of being taken advantage of in a way because this is not good for you, and they are using your vices.
It's like an addiction, like for a drug dealer, for example. It's like, oh, they're both consenting to a transaction here. Yeah. But at the same point, like the drug dealer has,
I think it's the same with anything. That's the same with junk food. It's the same with casinos. It's the same with just about anything you could think of that people do on a daily basis and put no thought into it whatsoever.
Which is very true, but I think that in like selling your body online, I think that just has had such a detriment. And you can argue for all of those things, especially, junk food and the obesity crisis, that all of that has had detrimental impacts on society. And that's why I, hope that RFK is able to turn things around. I'm a fan of his, and I hope that we are able to, both culturally and legislatively, like, turn things around for that sake. But it has had such a studied detrimental effect on both men and women, and on families and on the dating landscape, that it's like, I look at it and I'm just like, we have to be better. And maybe I'm looking at it in kind of this like utopia idea of like, this is what I hope for people. But I do like, and what I try to talk about in the episodes where I cover this is not, we just need to ban this outright or whatever, but it's like, at least acknowledge the fact that you are leaning into your vices and not having any control over them. Like if you're somebody that's paying for them, and that if you are posting those photos of yourself, you are enabling people's vices. And I think that as human beings, we should raise ourselves to a standard of acknowledging that that's not a good thing and that's not a healthy thing. Now, that requires self-awareness, that requires discipline, but I also think that that's something that we should strive for as a society and encourage, where it's like there are nobler things that you could be doing with your life. Like Sammy Sheen is literally the perfect example of you have every single opportunity available to you. If you want to be gawked at and sexualized or whatever, you know, it's fine. It's like, I mean, whatever. But to say that this is the only other option than working at a candy shop, it's like that's a lie. That is you excusing and rationalizing your choice because you have been fed this idea that this actually is female empowerment. And for most people, they will not make the $4 million. They will not make the $1 million a month. That is an incredibly tiny percentage of the high earners on sites like OnlyFans or on the Playboy website, which also has their new subscription platform. The majority of people will make very, very minimal money and will be in a situation like Jack was talking about where it's like you're making maybe a couple $100s a month, but you're posting these photos of yourself and you're leaning more and more heavily into it, which is like, that's not, like, how is that
That's why you
got to
dip your toes in first.
You got to try a
start with feet and a bikini, and then as you make more, then you keep notching it up a little bit.
That's some really good advice, actually. So, guys, if you want consulting, you want to get into the business.
Yeah.
I'll take out 25% is my fee.
Yeah, there you go. New
free
pip
subscription.
business. Yeah.